We'll be talking about modifier placement questions on the SAT. They're worth about 16 points, but they can always be worth more, so you always have to be ready. As always, our approach will be to look at identify subject modifier placement questions. We'll build a formula to solve these questions, and we'll solve a practice question. So, what are these subject modifiers? A subject modifier is a word or phrase that describes or adds more detail to the subject. So for example, Mike, comma, a Harvard doctor, comma, explained the procedure. So a Harvard doctor is a modifier as it's adding extra information about Mike. Okay, here is the number one rule that will get you all of these questions right, but you need to know this. The subject modifier, so for example, on the last one, a Harvard doctor, they must be placed next to the subject. How they get you on these is they don't place it next to the subject, and that's how you can find out which one's right every single time. So we'll go over this one, we'll try one out, and we'll build a formula here. So first, we're going to read the passage, we're going to identify the subject, and we're going to find the answer that correctly places the modifier next to that subject. So let's try one ourselves here. First, read the passage. Despite being renowned for their durability and architectural significance, comma, they require constant maintenance and have suffered from exposure to modern air pollution. Okay, so let's just first find the modifier here. The modifier, you don't actually need its additional information. It's a supplement, which is actually something we talk about in another video, but it's a specific kind of supplement, so it's non-essential information. So you're able to see this part right here. Despite being renowned for their durability and architectural significance, so this part right here, despite to significance, is giving information or modifying this noun that's going to go right here. So, and we have to remember, the modifier always goes next to the noun. So they'll provide you with a modifier, and you need to match that noun right next to it. So let's try in this one. So now let's identify the subject. So despite being renowned for their durability and architectural significance, okay, so what is being renowned for their durability and architectural significance? Something that requires constant maintenance and have suffered the building. So I assume it's some sort of building. So now we go down here and I find medieval stone cathedrals face two major issues. Okay, there are two major issues with medieval stone cathedrals. Okay. Two major issues plague medieval stone cathedrals. Medieval stone cathedrals, two major issues are that. Okay, so what are we looking for here? Once again, the subject is the thing that's being talked about here, which is the medieval stone cathedrals. They're the things that are renowned for their durability and architectural significance. So that's what has to be right next to the modifier, right after that comma. So just looking through A, medieval stone cathedrals face two major issues. So this is the correct answer, as medieval stone cathedrals is coming up right after that comma from the modifier that described it. But let's go through how people often get these wrong. These ones, if you know that rule, you'll always get it right, but you need to know that rule. So B, there are two major issues with medieval stone cathedrals. So see, like if you say these out loud, they almost sound right. Despite being renowned for their durability and architectural significance, there are two major issues with medieval stone cathedrals. It doesn't necessarily sound wrong, but you need to know this rule to make sure the subject's next to it. And a way how they often get you is on like one like D. So it says medieval stone cathedrals. It sounds right. But it's actually not talking about the medieval stone cathedrals. It's talking about the major issues of these. So the actual subject in this case would be the two major issues that are of the medieval stone cathedrals. Make sure it's not having any apostrophes and it's not essentially being a possessive. So A is the correct answer, as here's the modifier and here's the noun that comes straight after it. I just want to emphasize one more time this rule here. The subject modifier must be placed next to the subject. It cannot be away from it. It has to be next to it. So we found the answer that correctly places the modifier next to the subject. Good luck, and always remember that rule.